If it bleeds, we can kill it. Yes, I heard the news, I think a week or so ago. Just wanted to let it sink in. That Predator apparently is going to get a remake. Or reboot, sequel. It's kind of in the air so far. I've heard it as it's a reboot. I've heard it's going to be a sequel. So I'm going to do this as if it's a reboot and not a direct sequel. So here are my thoughts on the new reboot for the Predator movie. At first, I was kind of surprised. Like, really? You're going to reboot Predator? But then I thought about it. I was like, really? Did I think my movie, the movies that I like, were so special and so above other movies that they were above being rebooted or remade? No, they're not. If I had thought that, that would be very arrogant of me. It's pretty stupid to think that just because I like them that they're bulletproof from being remade. So instead, I want to talk about what I would like to see from this movie. Some questions I have and some thoughts about it. I want to save the main point of this video for towards the end because I think it needs to be addressed last. First of all, I want to talk about is the setting, because the first Predator movie was set in the jungles in South America. Here, I think it was Nicaragua. I think it was. That's probably Central America actually, because they say where it was exactly in the Predators movie. I try to remember if I can't. That's not important. So you're in the jungle in the first movie. You're in the urban jungle of Los Angeles in the second movie. And then in Predators, which is a direct sequel to the first two movies, you're back in a jungle area on a different planet. But in this one, are you back in the jungle? Or are you in the urban environment again? Maybe New York or Chicago? You know, because that needs to be addressed, I think. Where are we going to set this? You want to go controversial, you might even think about putting this in the desert. Maybe in a Middle Eastern setting, because, you know, Middle East, especially right now, from the news coverage, there's a lot going on, a lot of conflict. Probably too controversial there. Maybe you want to keep it in America. Maybe, you know, to have it somewhere that isn't a hotbed for violence right now, which is kind of tough. But that's the first thing. Where are we going to set it? Are we going to put it back in the jungle again? So we've seen that already. People might be like, oh, we're back in the jungle. So that's not really original anymore. Especially after the Predators movie kind of made homages to scenes in the first Predator movie. So do we go back into the city? If so, what part of what city do we go to? And the thing was about the second Predator movie was that the camouflage was kind of rough at times because there isn't too much of an area for the effect to really look cool. Like in the jungle, you have a lot of greenery, you have the trees. It's cool to see that sort of camouflage, whereas in the city, not so much. So that's the first thing. Second of all, who's going to be the director and the main star? I don't know who the director was of the first Predator movie, but Arnold Schwarzenegger is going to be a very tough act to follow. Even Danny Glover, he was good, I thought, as let me see here, Detective. What was his name? I'm drawing a blank. These are one of my favorite movies. These are some of my favorite movies, I should say. These are some of my favorite movies, with Predator being one of my favorites. And I think both of them do a really good job in the environment that they're in. So I don't know who they're going to get to try and fill that void. They tried to go with Adrian Brody in Predators back in the jungle setting. He was okay. He was pretty good. Voice a little raspy, kind of almost like trying to be Batman in a sense. But I don't know if they're going to go more of a normal voice, like Danny Glover, or they're going to go something more menacing and badass like Arnold was. So I'm kind of curious, because you need a good actor, not Shakespearean, but a good enough actor that they're believable when they're in a certain situation where either they're leading a group of people, like a special forces, or they're more of a detective style. It's like, what's going on? What's this? How come this being seems to be following me? Because in the second movie, the Predator is basically following Danny Glover's character in that one. I know the detective's first name, but I don't know his last name. Dang it. Anyways, so that's the thing. Who's going to be the director? Who's going to be the main actor? That's important, because when we see it, people announced in certain roles, people who are fans of the series get invested in it, and they can be really angry or pretty happy about it, or kind of like, really? I don't know. Look at what happened with Megan Fox and Ben Affleck. And when those names were announced for April O'Neil and Batman, people went nuts. You would have thought that somebody said, this person is going to murder your mother in front of you. But that's how much anger there was from these announcements. So I'm kind of curious who would be the next lead actor or lead actress in this movie. So that's another thing that's pretty important. Who's going to be the lead actor? Where are we going to have this movie at? And director, I mean, as long as they're not like Yul Boll or somebody like that being the director, they should be fine. I mean, if it's Yul Boll directing and like Shia LaBeouf being the lead in this, like I'll just lie down on the street and let a car just run over me, because that would probably be less painful. I'm kidding. I would never do that. Because you're just, at that point I would think you're making a parody of this, because Shia LaBeouf's not a good actor, and Yul Boll, from a couple of movies I've seen and people give Michael Bay crap. He's got nothing on Yul Boll. Alright, so I don't think they're going to do that. I think they're going to take it a little bit more seriously. But I'm kind of curious who's going to be the main actor. Now, the bulk of this, the most important part, I think, is the Predator itself. So are they going to do a complete redesign of the Predator species, or are they going to do something akin to in Predators, where the other Predator was similar looking to the classic Predator we have from the Arnold movie and from Danny Glover movie, but just changed a bit, because in Predators had the bigger mouth, the face was a little bit darker, the hair was different, but it was still based on the original Predator. If we're going to get something like that, that's fine. I'm okay with it. If they're going to redesign it completely, I'm kind of curious, and I'm kind of like, I hope they don't do something bad with this. Also, when it comes to revealing the Predator, what the first movie did really well was giving us quick glances. Like the scene where he's taking the bullet out of his knee, or what would be the knee, and just pulls it out, and you see it yelling, and quickly it just shows the body, and then go back to the humans. And then later on, when they try to capture it and he breaks free, you see him swing around the tree, and it comes up, he's visible, comes visible, you see the helmet, boom, and he comes back invisible again and takes off. That was a great scene. It built up drama, built up a suspense to it, and I really enjoyed it, even to the point where at the end, when it's him and Arnold about to go one-on-one, hand-to-hand, mano-a-mano. This is what real mano-a-mano means. Hand-to-hand, no weapons. When they're about to go hand-to-hand, mano-a-mano, what does he do? He steps back, and it's a big reveal. Takes off the shoulder cannon. He does the two hoses connected to his helmet, and then great to do this. And then as he's pulling the face mask off, we don't see his face right away. We see a little bit of the chin, and then all of a sudden it goes to the Predator's point of view, where everything goes red and yellow, because he's not just seeing the body heat, he's seeing all heat from the environment. And I think that was really cool to see. And then boom, you see his face, and that was a shocking moment, because you don't know what this thing's looking at. And then the reveal. Great part about monster movies and stuff is the reveal. And and the first Predator movie is a great blend of sci-fi, action, slasher movie, and I want something like that for this reboot or the sequel. If it's a sequel, maybe we don't need that, but if it's a reboot and we're going to do a redesign, or we're going to show maybe a little bit of a tweak to the Predator face, I would like to see something like that, because that would be cool to see. That would be really cool to see. And also, the Predator itself, I would say keep it as it was before, with the guy in a suit. It'll be heavy, it'll be bulky, probably be uncomfortable at times. I would like to see something like that, even if it gonna be tough. But I'd rather have that than try and do it all CGI. However, if you do CGI, and I'm not one of those people who says that CGI all sucks, it's no good, get rid of it, blah 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 blah. I think CGI can be used properly, and when it's used properly, looks just as good as your puppets and your animatronics done right. If it's just a guy swinging at nothing and he's pretending something's there, and then they add it in later, audiences today can see that, and they aren't going to buy it, and they're going to hate it. I mean, they've so trained themselves to see everything as CGI that sometimes when something isn't CGI, they think it is, and because to them it looks fake. And so audiences have kind of become jaded with that. I should do that sort of Haters Club video for that, I think. But as far as CGI in this Predator reboot, what I would like to see is them doing a motion capture. Because motion capture, you'll actually have something there. You have a person there with as a reference who they're really fighting. It feels more real. I know movies are fake, and then they're not real, but I would like to see it feel real, in a sense that something's there that the main protagonist is fighting against. I like that, and most audiences can tell the difference, I think, or at least they feel that they can, that somebody is actually there fighting the protagonist, and then they added the CGI on top of them. Look at Pirates of the Caribbean 2 and 3 with Davy Jones. It looked real because the guy was actually there. He was motion capture, but you had the movement of, even with that limp that he does, because he has one wooden leg. It feels like an actual person is there, because there is a person. They just did the motion capture route, and I would like for them to do that with this Predator movie. So if you're going to do CGI, please do it as a motion capture. Have somebody actually do it, and then it'll look fluid, it'll look cool. I'm not looking for Shakespearean, like I said, Shakespearean or Academy Award winning performances. I just want a good Predator movie. I want a good Predator movie. That's all I ask for. As a fan, that's all I can ask for, really. So those are my thoughts on the Predator movie, the reboot or sequel, whatever it's going to be. I'm a big fan of the Predator movies. I think the first one is awesome and should be watched by everybody who's an action fan, and even if someone who's a slasher movie fan, because I'll talk about that movie later. And the second movie is really good. and it's a bit of a detective drama as well, with trying to figure out more of the backstory of the Predator, like why do they come here for that, and why do they come at certain times. So if they're going to expand the mythos again, that'd be cool. Don't know if it's going to be a reboot or a sequel. We'll find out more maybe in a year or so, until this movie finally gets made and is put out to the public. But for now, I'm going to reserve all judgment on whether or not I think the movie is going to suck or it's going to be good. So let me know what you think. Do you think this movie would be cool to see? What would your recommendations for another reboot would be? What movie should get a reboot? Also, with this reboot or sequel, what do you want to see from it? I'm kind of curious what you think. So that's all I got. So until the next time, later.